All right, let's look at interest rates and the DXY, the US dollar. Starting off with interest rates, I'm going to skip the 1 year. It's really all about the 2, the 5, the 10, and the 30. Okay, so we went lower. Yields dropped a little bit. Remember, they've just made new highs across the board. So you're allowed to retrace a little bit. And sometimes, when you have markets starting to drop quite aggressively, which we've seen, some people tend to buy bonds in a bit of a safety trade. But to be honest, the safety trade has just not worked, has it, for bonds? I mean, bonds, it's probably better to start off with the TLT. Bonds, it's not exactly a bounce, is it? Just absolutely destroyed. Everyone hiding in bonds. It's an amazing trade. And a lot of people, even bears, saying buy bonds. There's some good ones that I really respect. I mean, for example, Michael Pento, he's amazing. He also suggests buying, I think it's 25% only allocation, but it makes sense. Buying bonds is if it's part of your portfolio on the way down and you hide there, you get a bit of a yield or maybe just short-term duration. But overall, it's just going down anyway. So you're losing anyway. So bonds, I don't think they've worked in terms of the fear trade, right? Even for war, even for safety as the market collapses, not really. Just yields are going up and bond prices are going down. So you're kind of losing. In fact, you are losing. And if you're going to hold till maturity, you're going to lose anyway with inflation. So bonds, just not yet. I know some big banks have come out and said 5% is nice, and it's kind of a flat curve here. Look, across the board, you got 5% from 1, 2, 5, 10, 30. It's pretty flat. But I think that will change soon. And I think they're just going to go higher. I know a lot of people are thinking, the Fed's probably done, and they've said that a lot. I've always thought they're going to continue, and they've always continued. I have to admit, now I feel like the stock market's it is, but it's going to continue to collapse. And maybe now they're going to say we're going to pause, but pause means yields staying where they are, and that's enough to continue the collapse, which is good enough for me. I want the markets to come down. I think they should. And I think that the metals, the resource stocks will outperform, even if they drop a little bit. So I want to see the markets come down. I think they will. I'm still holding my short, by the way. Nvidia short is wonderful. So I held that as it looked like it was going to breach even higher. Anyway, yields higher, 2-year. Little retracement, you're allowed to do that after a new high. And as the market collapses a little bit, people take a little bit of a position. Plus, we had the 5% touch across the board. So I think that some people started to buy bonds just because we hit 5%. Look at this 5-year here. We kissed 5% and retraced, but just higher highs, higher lows. So the trend is intact. And where do we go? I still think that 5.2 is where we go. The volume disappears here on the daily, but if you go on the weekly, you can see that a lot clearer. So we can still go a little higher, and then we'll see. But I don't see why the trend will change, really. So 10-year, also look at that. Just made a new high. We retrace to the breakout, not even. So that's still very bullish despite a bit of a drop on Friday. Where does that go? I think they all go to 5.23%. Look here, I didn't put the line in, I will, but I remember doing it before, 5.2, 5.3%. 30 years, same sort of thing, same sort of target. I think we will get there actually, no matter what the Fed says. They come out with these speakers now and then, try and act dovish. Look at that weekly candle. That's amazing, by the way. So yeah, higher. I still think we go higher. And even when the Fed announces a pause, that doesn't mean you start going down. Like, oh, they're going to cut next. What if inflation picks up? Like, do you believe the Fed is really trying? Whether they'll fail or not is something. But if you think inflation picks up in their little fudge numbers, because it's picking up even in their fudge numbers, does that mean that Powell will just keep going? Because I think he's ready to fall on his sword. I don't think that the Fed will cut rates with inflation going up unless they change Fed speaker. So there you go. I think Powell stays in and keeps raising rates as long as inflation rises, which I think is what's going to happen, unless he gets kicked out. And then obviously they'll bring in some dovish person. So there you go. That's my take on yields. And by the way, it's across the board. Maybe the Europeans change their mind before the Americans do. Because I don't think they're as determined as Powell. Like Christine Lagarde, she's another fraud. Let's be honest. And I think she's more likely to change her mind rather than Powell. But the Brit, they all have the same problem, right? Yields are just going up, 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 non-stop, higher highs, higher lows. You just have a little bit of retracement now and then, but let's not be fooled of the pattern. The dollar, that I said, right? I said it whilst we were touching this area. I think we're a bit extended now. You know, this whole period up here, I respected the move. It surprised me, of course. I thought we were just going to retrace maybe to here initially. But as soon as I started to see, especially this candle here, that one did it for me. Thursday, the 27th of July, I thought, now we're going to go higher. That's a massive statement. And we did. And then I started to really respect it. Oh my God, we could go higher. We did. And now, ever since this 107 area, I thought, nah, it's too much. I don't care what's going on in the background, the news. And then you start to see these candles. And, you know, this is whilst the war's kicking off and you're not seeing the dollar acting as a safe haven, unlike gold. And I just thought, also looking at gold was rising despite dollar strength even at some point. So what do I think is going to happen? I think we're going to drift low and go back down to 104.5. I think the dollar needs to return to here, check support, and then see if it could, maybe, it depends what's going on everywhere. But you know, by then maybe the Fed has paused and maybe that's enough to send the dollar lower. So we'll see. But I really think we go down to 104.5 on the DXY. I think we have a lot of, look, it's like lower highs, lower lows in terms of closes. Again, this is despite gold safety trades apparently being bid. So if dollar is not a safety trade, and this is with yields going up, right? Yields go up, and the dollar's no longer going up with yields because it kind of did during this period. So for those two reasons, and just technically, I think the DXY comes down. Let me know if you agree.